Hi, this is Dave from Steel City Drones. Today we are very proud to present to you our official review of the DJI Inspire 2. The DJI Inspire 2 came a couple weeks ago. The only problem is up north we were experiencing a lot of bad weather, so we decided to come down, spend a week in Florida, fly this about 8 hours a day, fly compared to our existing copters that we have, and fly it like we fly for our clients on jobs. So we wanted to really get a real good comparison, which I think we really did. And I want to stress to you guys that in no way, shape, or form do we receive any money or compensation to do this video. This is our total unbiased thoughts and test results on what we were actually experiencing during our week down here in Florida. So I'll let you guys be the judge. Let's get started. Here's the content and outline for what we're going to cover in this video. After receiving our Inspire 2, we packed up all the drones we own and headed south to sunny Florida. Flying our other copters side by side to the new Inspire was going to give us the instant feedback of how well it measured up to what we already had. Thanks to our friends at Soaring Lens, we had the opportunity to film many different types of locations to try a wide variety of shots. So we wanted to see how diverse this copter really was and how it measured up. To start our review, we're going to compare how the new version compares to the original Inspire. The new Inspire has a brand new chassis that is loaded with new features. It has larger motors that can output 2,000 grams of thrust. Stacked up to the Inspire 1, you can actually see how much larger the new motors are. These new motors allow the Inspire 2 to accelerate to 50 miles an hour in 5 seconds. New to the Inspire 2 is redundant features such as dual IMUs for safer flights. The Intelligent Flight Control System monitors the redundancy system for improved flight data. The copter is also fitted with dual barometers for improved altitude hold performance. The new frame is larger and is made out of magnesium aluminum composite that definitely supports the added weight. While it's very similar to the Inspire 1, the Inspire 2's frame is definitely bigger and a big improvement over the Inspire 1, as you can see in these side-by-side comparisons. DJI listened to its Inspire 1 user base to incorporate an FPV camera into the new platform, as it allows the user to select from either a straight-ahead view or quickly switch to a 45-degree downward view depending upon your application, and it's completely customizable through the Go app. The FPV camera is a clean, solid signal that can be switched to a larger center window for better viewing, and the pilot can easily toggle back and forth between camera feeds. One thing we notice about the FPV feed is that the feed is noticeably darker when it's straight ahead as opposed to being in a 45-degree angle. Dual batteries is another improvement over the Inspire 1. It adds added redundancy in case one battery fails in flight. The new batteries also have built-in heaters to allow for colder climates. The new location of the batteries also makes the Inspire 2 more balanced for better flight performance. The new Inspire 2 has a vision system that consists of stereo vision and ultrasonic sensors for obstacle avoidance for front, side, and above. Not only do these sensors help for avoidance, but it also improves indoor hovering and positioning. The new cameras have a slightly different mounting design that we're not crazy about. The older X5 mount has rear clips that help support the weight from the back. The new camera doesn't have any rear support and is completely suspended by the center connection. So let's get straight to the flying performance. From location to location, we were extremely impressed with not only the ability of the Inspire to fly dead straight when desired, but we found that the Inspire was able to fly very low to the ground with absolutely no variance in altitude, which allowed for great dynamic shots. With the extra power on tap for the Inspire 2, we wanted to do a speed performance test and used a few different copters to capture the best angles. We also used an M600 to mark the finish line. So we lined up the Inspire 1 and the Inspire 2 for an all-out race. We knew that the Inspire 2 was going to be faster, but its acceleration was just ridiculous. And as you can see, that the Inspire 2 is in a league all its own. Florida weather gave us a great opportunity to do what we consider to be the most important flight performance parameter of all, the wind performance test. We were fortunate enough to have winds gusting up to 25 miles an hour. Here's the Inspire 2 next to the Inspire 1. You can see how much improvement's been added to the new model. Here's the Inspire 2 next to the P4. And here's the Inspire 2 next to the M600 with the commercial grade GPS option. These side-by-side tests really show that the Inspire 2 with its upgraded technology has come light years ahead of where it was just 2 years ago. A new feature we were dying to try was the gimbal reset. As you're probably aware, the Inspire camera gimbal can't spin freely 360 degrees. It will stop like a brick wall once it reaches 320 degrees. To combat this issue, DJI has come up with a very cool feature that has the Inspire 2 counter spinning like an instant 360 flip to unwind the gimbal to prevent it from bottoming out before the shot's over. It also does it in a manner that the copter does not lose any altitude or positioning. A new feature on the Inspire 2 allows for selectable radio and video signals that can be switched between 2.4 and 5.8 GHz frequencies. The Inspire 2's new Lightbridge HD video transmission system uses a multiplexing broadcast to transmit both video feed and remote control signals on the same frequency. Typically, in a lot of urban areas, the 2.4 GHz band can often suffer from high levels of signal interference from wireless environments. So the Inspire 2 automatically scans the environment and selects the band with the least amount of interference. On our Inspire 1, we typically would get between 300 to 400 meters, and then Inspire 1's video feed would start breaking up. We tested these upgrades with a long distance check. With the new Inspire 2, we flew at 940 meters without any issues on either the pilot or camera operator video feed. During our tests, the camera feed held solid on both radios, and there was absolutely no issues with controlling the drone or the camera. For our tests, we kept all the HD settings on auto, and even the FPV camera feed held strong signal quality all the way to the point of which we stopped. Very impressive. The Inspire 2 was rumored to incorporate 2 batteries long before it was released. When the official specs came out, DJI advertised up to 25-minute flight time, with the X5S leaving many people disappointed. So we decided to really pay close attention to actual flight times we were getting. Our flight times in Pittsburgh averaged between 17 and 19 minutes, and temperatures ranging between 25 and 40 degrees. Once we started filming in Florida, we were really hoping for another 3 to 4 minutes because ambient temperature can really affect flight time. But that just didn't happen with our setup, and we noticed a constant 19 minutes in Florida. When we inquired about the issue with DJI, they reiterated the words "up to." But our test consisted of very slow or hover flights at locations between sea level and 1,700 feet above sea level. So we're not really sure what conditions could possibly achieve 25 minutes. Now, to be fair, the new Inspire 2 is heavier, but I'm sure that was taken into consideration in the specs up to 25 minutes. But nobody seems to be getting close to 25 minutes, so flight time gets a failing grade, and this is by far the most disappointing part of the new Inspire review in our opinion. If you're in the market for the new Inspire 2, look no further than Steel City Drones. We keep the Inspire 2 and all of its accessories in stock and can help you pick which option is right for you. We did extensive testing on this drone to support you and your Inspire long after your purchase is made. When you're ready to take your flying to the next level, call Steel City Drones. The most anticipated enhancement to the new Inspire 2 is the improved video camera option that can be purchased with the Inspire 2 to shoot 5.2K raw video at 4.2 gigabits per second and 4K raw video at 2.4 gigabits per second. What we wanted to do was test and compare something we have not seen yet. So we decided to test the Inspire 2, where we kept the copter up in the air at the same height, the same distance away from a focal subject, and then just record different formats to see the differences between them. We kept the same framing, same focus, same camera settings, and the same resolution of 3840 by 2160. The first thing we wanted to show and compare is the H.264 version of this shot. We were really surprised how well this clip looks overall. This version does not have a ton of contrast, nor is the color oversaturated, which leaves plenty of room to do it in post if you want that type of look. Here's how the H.264 version looks compared to the 4444 XQ clip. Both clips are unedited native clips, with no color grading or post-production. Here's the H.264 clip compared to the 422 version. Now let's look at each clip zoomed in. The ProRes versions definitely have more dynamic range, even when shot in standard picture mode. Shooting in a format like D-Log would have definitely brought out more dynamic range capabilities for these formats. But we were very surprised to see that the ProRes versions were a bit softer overall straight out of the box compared to the H.264 compressed version. We really didn't see much difference between the 422 HQ and the 4444 XQ, even though the bit rate is considerably higher for the 4444. With our other copters, we did similar comparisons, but we couldn't keep all the factors exactly the same. We did the best with what we could, and by no means are we saying our tests are exact, because they simply aren't, so we don't think it's very appropriate to go into great detail about those results. But with that said, we can give our overall observations from each drone overall when comparing the different cameras and drones to the same H.264 Kodak. Our observations were consistent through the full 5 days of filming on all cameras. We know these aren't exactly scientific lab results because of the varying factors at hand, but we can say this with confidence. We have flown the X5R with hundreds of flights of flight time. The X5S is a definite improvement in clarity over the X5R when filming H.264. Okay, so those are the video results and tests that we did. It's real important now. What we have to do is we have to step back and explain how we got to those results. When we filmed and took a look at the raw footage, the raw camera footage, and started compiling it in the post-production, we noticed that the ProRes version was considerably softer than the H.264 version, which didn't make any sense to us because we know ProRes version format is much better, cleaner, the whole ball of wax. So even when we went in there and added sharpness to it, it still didn't look right. It still didn't look anywhere where it needed to be. So what we did was then we actually took a similar test and reshot everything in a different location, got the same results again. And then we asked another customer of ours to compare and do the same results, and they got the same results as we did. So then we found what we did was we went back and added an unsharpened mask to the ProRes 4444 and the 422 clips, and then compared them to the H.264, and then that's where it really came in. Not only did it match the clarity and focus, but it actually went a step further and really shows the capabilities of that resolution. So if you're going to use ProRes in the UHD format, you have to keep in mind you're really going to want to consider adding an unsharpened mask to your footage to really take advantage of that format. We really didn't see the need to apply the unsharpened mask when we were shooting ProRes in the 5.2K format. Probably because what the camera's doing is it's resampling everything and it's at different resolutions than its native resolution from the sensor. So the smaller it would get, more our thinking is that the more resampling it has to do and causes that to be. So adding the unsharpened mask back in really brings it out very well. Overall, those are the comparisons and how we got to where we are. We wanted to really explain that very thoroughly so that we know that there's going to be other users out there that are going to get, they're going to test this just like we did and get similar results and not understand that. So we wanted to pass that along to you guys. So let's move on to the next part of the test. Next, we compared the X5S, X4S, and P4 Pro cameras H.264 video side by side and kept all the camera control variables the same. Overall, each camera held its own very well, and surprisingly, there was no clear winner when comparing the H.264 Kodak. For the photo camera comparison, we tested the Inspire 2 with both the X5S and X4S cameras as well as the P4 Pro camera. Comparing all the data, it's very hard to declare a winner as they're all very similar quality and clarity. Overall, the X5S has a slightly bigger picture. So if we have to pick a winner, we're going to choose the X5S for that reason. We spent a lot of time testing active tracking. While active tracking definitely has some cool capabilities and potential, there are some issues that you need to be aware of for it to work right. The Inspire 2 definitely has to be line of sight with the object if you're going to try to track a car. It might be difficult getting the shot because anything that obscures it, like trees, bushes, or other cars, can cause it to lose track. We also noticed that the Inspire 2 had problems with following a car if it made a U-turn, or if the Inspire's camera had to tilt down quickly to track. We had the same results in Spotlight Pro as we did in active tracking, but we can definitely see the possibilities of these features. One thing we don't really like about the Inspire 2 is that they eliminated the ability to pan the camera very easy in single radio operation mode. With the Inspire 1, you can simply set up the C1 button on the radio to toggle between tilt and pan. But with the Inspire 2, if you want to pan the camera, you have to hold the C1 button and at the same time use the rear control wheel to pan. That's not very easy to do while flying the copter at the same time. We think that's going to really affect some people in single camera operated mode. Tap Fly is a really good feature that allows an easy way to fly straight for a long distance. This feature worked consistently well every time we used it. Obstacle avoidance worked great, and actually we were more impressed with the obstacle avoidance features on the Inspire 2 than the P4 Pro, primarily because the Inspire 2 would slow down and stop the drone faster at a distance further away from the obstacle than the P4 Pro did. Okay, so that's our Inspire 2 review. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that you've been able to get something out of it that you haven't seen on the other reviews to help you decide whether or not you think this copter is well worth investing in. Personally, we don't think that anybody can go wrong with this copter. It is the real deal. It's going to be our #1 copter going forward. So if you have any questions regarding the video, or if you're in the market for one of these Inspire 2s, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you out. We sell them, we stock them, we support them after the sale. We had a lot of extensive testing along the whole way making this video. So we'll be glad to help you out. And again, thanks for watching.